Hi, I'm Randy Robison. This is Life Today TV. I am pleased to welcome back John Eldredge. He's got a new book called The Utter Relief of Holiness. Of course, if you're watching this, you probably know his other books, Wild at Heart. What was the last one before that?
Beautiful Outlaw.
Beautiful Outlaw, that's
Yeah.
right. And you came here and talked, and I appreciate you
We
sitting
did.
down. A lot of people watched that interview. You said something last time. I want to kick off this one by asking you a little follow-up question. You were talking about fear, and I just bounce back at you. What's your greatest fear? And you thought about it for like this long, uncomfortable pause that you're not supposed to do on television.
Yep.
But that validated what you said because you really thought about it, and you said, believing what others say about me. Do you remember that at all?
Right.
I didn't know what to say immediately, and as I watched the interview, I was like, wow, that's so true.
Right.
Especially for someone in your position, because I've been around my dad my whole life. The adoration, the
Right.
praise, you're God's man.
Right.
And legitimately, God has used the words that you put down as you seek Him and you put things on the page. That's blessed a lot of people. So there's some validity to it.
Sure.
You know, how do you keep your head on straight with success?
It connects with something that I think if I were to answer the fear question now, I think I'd answer it like this. I think my fear is not being true. Like earnestly true. Like in my being. Like what you see is what you get. You don't get one man on the camera and another man off the camera. Because when that duplicity gets in, that's where really funky stuff begins to happen, right?
Yeah, that doesn't happen in Christian TV,
famous
does
people's lives. Yeah, right?
It does.
Yeah, so I think Jesus has actually been really pretty deliberate with us about remaining true. We don't live in this world. Like, we don't live with lights on and cameras going. Stace and I live in a house, and we have a dog, and we take out the trash. And, there's actually a pretty remarkable normalness.
Yeah.
We worry about our kids.
Yeah.
I call my mom on Sundays. There's just...
And is that deliberate, or is that just, that's just the way it is?
Maybe it is deliberate, but it's the way our lives are. And choosing not to live in the glitter and in the spotlight, I don't want that, and I don't want to be untrue. And man, the more you live in the, kind of the cocaine of public adoration, that can get...
Oh, yeah.
That can get pretty addictive pretty fast.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Do you know Ann Voskamp personally?
No.
You guys would get along great. Cut from the same cloth.
Oh, cool.
That's a sidebar. You live up in Colorado?
We do.
Any wildfires come close to your house?
Phenomenal story. So last year, the Waldo Canyon fire, thousands of acres, and we live on the edge of that national forest. We live on the west side of town, and it was that fire came down to our yard. And I know that other people have different stories, and I don't know how to make sense of all this, but our house was spared, and it's pretty phenomenal because you walk out and you look up the hill, and it's charred. It looks like Mordor. But our yard is green, and our house is standing, and we're pretty humbled and pretty grateful.
Did you pull any kind of Pat Robertson speak to the fire kind of bit out there?
We were evacuated. We didn't even know.
Gone.
It was, we didn't know. For 3 days, we didn't know because the whole thing was just shrouded in smoke and, quarantined off, and no news reports were coming out, with any kind of specificity. So I finally went down to REI and bought a pair of binoculars. And I got on the highway and looked across to try and see. And here's what I saw. I saw there's an aspen tree in our front yard, and I saw it was still green. And I thought, okay, if that tree's green,
you have a chance.
I think our house is standing.
Yeah. Well, glad you survived that.
Yeah, it was huge.
Now, you're kind of, the ordinary guy is a lot of your theme. The humanity
right.
of us, the humanity of Christ.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
Why is that kind of your message in a way?
I think I just want to see people get better. Really, that's what lights my fire. That's, I just want to see people get well, see people be whole. Because what else is this about, right? I don't care about theological systems, and I don't care about, denominational crusades or carrying some particular flag or banner. Bottom line, this is about people, right? Jesus is about people.
Yeah.
And so, and maybe that's just the way I'm wired too, right? Counselor by training, I want to see people get well.
And do you think preserving the humanity of it all helps them in that endeavor?
Oh my goodness, because we live in a war, and the war is against human beings, right? What was the line?
Spiritually.
Spiritually,
Yeah.
Absolutely, right? It's devastating. Planet-wide, global spiritual war against human beings to destroy their humanity, because that's the image of God. The enemy knows he can't get back at God, right? He tried, and he was hurled from heaven, right? So his second choice now is destroy human beings, destroy their humanity. So when we work with men, it's restore their masculinity. When we work with women, it's restore their femininity, because that's where we bear the image of God. What else matters?
When you put it that way, I don't know. Well, last question, and I'll let you go do our show, lifetoday.org. Be sure and watch them on that. The Utter Relief of Holiness, the title right there, I kind of had to read it and then ask you, what is, because it doesn't, I'm not sure what it means.
Right. And that's why I chose it, because when most people think of the word, if they even hear the word holiness, and we don't even use it much anymore, but when you hear it, utter relief, not what most people are thinking, right? But when you watch the way Jesus restores people's lives, woman caught in adultery, for example, they have that beautiful story, and he who's without sin cast the first stone, and finally the crowd goes away. I mean, he spares her from a pretty horrifying death. And then you have that tender moment of, did no one condemn you? And she says, no one, and Jesus says, neither do I. And then he says, go and sin no more. Yeah. Right? Like in the same moment where you have the compassion, love, grace of Jesus, you have his standards. Yeah. Like your character matters. Yeah. Your character matters. And a lot of people are chasing wholeness right now. It's kind of like books on wholeness sell well, conferences on wholeness do well. What I want to say is you can't get that wholeness without the transformation of your character. Like who you are, the way you live matters. So holiness is an utter relief when you think of it from just the perspective of not struggling with your stuff.
If Jesus was not condemning her and she was living in sin, do you think the condemnation in our lives comes more from a perfect God or from our own sin?
I think the condemnation comes from the enemy, mostly. He's called the accuser of the brethren in Revelation 12. That sneer, that shame, that guilt stuff, that's not God.
Right.
Okay? God cares about your character. He cares about the quality of your life. Of course he does, right? But it never comes with a sneer.
Yeah. Good stuff. You make me want to read your book.
You might.
Good. Check out John and Stacy. Your wife will be with you on Live Today.
Yep.
So we're looking forward to that. Check them out there. That's at lifetoday.org if you missed it on the broadcast show. And your website, johneldredge.com?
Ransomedheart.com.
Ransomedheart.com. Do you have johneldredge.com or someone steal it?
I think we do, but I don't use it.
You use it, okay.
Right.
Ransomedheart.com. Yeah. Thanks, man, for sitting down with me. Appreciate it.
Good to talk to you.